The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? This is Mr. Sagawa. Sagawa was a convicted cannibal from Japan. He was let out of prison for insanity. He was featured in many talk shows, TV shows, and horror movies.
Today we're looking at some creepy ghost photos with even creepier stories. Let's get it started. This photo was taken in the 1930s at a family reunion. It appears to show a female spirit nestled in the middle of the group. Years later, family members have claimed to see the spirit in the 60s and 70s, often standing beside them or at the end of their beds. She's seen here wearing a fitted white dress and a brooch around her waist. In 1984, a teenager was a victim of a fatal car crash. This photograph was taken shortly after the incident by local police. When the pictures were developed, police were shocked by what they saw in one of the frames. Clearly visible above the open driver's side door, you can see a head and shoulders. The face is contorted with a screaming open mouth. The creepiest part is that's actually the boy who died that night. This picture was taken in 1977 and it appears to show a woman in white walking past a house. The person who took the photo was shocked when he saw this on film, because nobody was present besides the workman you see at the back when the photo was taken.
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? Not really. This was a photo that was taken on December 10th, 1945. William Hirons left this note written on the wall of one of his victims. What it reads is, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." After this, he would take one more person's life before being arrested 6 months later.
If you receive a creepy tea party invitation in your mailbox, throw it out right away and don't attend the party. There's a legend about this girl who received a strange invitation. It was sealed with wax, it looked super old, but it didn't say who it was from. It gave an address, a time, and a dress code. But the creepiest part about it is that at the very bottom of the invitation it said, "No +1s allowed, arrive unattended." Obviously her parents were really sketched out, and they told her not to go to this place and to throw out the invitation right away. But the next day, her parents went into her bedroom and she was nowhere to be seen. They saw the invitation lying open on her bed and they knew that she had gone. Now, after this, she was never seen again. And when her family went to the address the tea party was said to be, they arrived at an abandoned old building. It was then found out that multiple people had gone missing that month after receiving a strange tea party invitation. So if you get invited to a tea party, think twice.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 20. This photograph was taken by Rodney Alcala, the dating game murderer. No one knows who this woman is, not even Rodney. He killed over 130 women and claims that this one was just lost among the shuffle. While this appears to be an ordinary group of people eating ice cream and playing music, it is actually a group of officers at the concentration camp Auschwitz during the Holocaust. This is Sheila Frederick, a flight attendant. She noticed that a terrified girl was accompanied by an older man, so she left a note in the bathroom on which the victim wrote that she needed help. She contacted the police, who saved her from a human trafficker. The Soviet Union actually used to airbrush people out of photos when they fell out of favor with the leadership. While this photo may appear to be of a little girl holding her younger sibling, it is actually of Lena Medina, the youngest girl to ever give birth, who had her son in Peru in 1939, after she was sexually assaulted at the age of 5.
Scary Photos with Disturbing Backstories, Part 4. This photo comes from the 19th century from the Third Plague pandemic. This was the first time that the plague had spread to all 5 continents. This is a photo of the outfits and masks that plague doctors wore when they would come to your house to treat or diagnose you. The long beak-like noses of the masks were used to hold herbs and other nicely scented things because they believed that it would help ward off the bad air, which at the time is what they thought was causing the sickness. Like and subscribe for more content!
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? This is a photo that was taken when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. The photographer was a little too close, and he knew that. Robert Landsberg took as many photos of the eruption as possible before stuffing it in his backpack and laying on top of it. He knew he would not survive, but he hoped to make sure that the photos did. And sure enough, the photos did make it out, though Robert did not.
Welcome to Disturbing Nightmares You Should Never Get. Today's nightmare starts off with this person being in a dance class. But the weird thing about this dance class is that there's a man in a hospital bed in the middle of the room. Suddenly, paramedics rush into the room and then they start using the defibrillator on this man, but instead of his chest, they're using it on his face, which is causing him severe burns. Then all of the other dancers in the class start laughing at this guy, which is honestly just really messed up. and then suddenly the floor opens up and just swallows this man whole, and all of the dancers in the class start applauding. I am not sure why this person's subconscious hated this man so much, but make sure you like and follow for part 2.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. When you first see this photo, you may not think much of it. The young guy in the photo looks pretty normal. But this is actually 17-year-old Jeff Franklin in the back of a police car. This photo was taken immediately after he was arrested for brutally beating his parents to death with a sledgehammer. He also critically wounded 3 of his younger siblings. This picture at a beach looks like your average vacation photo. But this image was found on the lost camera of 2 people who were swept away by a tsunami moments after this picture was taken, meaning that everybody in this photo died just minutes later.
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? This was a photo that was taken from a video that was posted by YouTuber Sarah Funk. They were taking pictures and videos on the seashore. What they paid no mind to was a suitcase that was floating in the water. About 2 years after this photo was taken, the suitcase was found by other people and opened. Inside the suitcase, they found the corpse of a 12-year-old girl that was killed by serial killer Nikos Metaxa.
Dark Disney Theories Too Real to Ignore, Part 3. This theory suggests that Peter Pan is an angel of death. His job is to come and collect the souls of dying children. He takes their hand and guides them to heaven, aka Neverland. This explains why the Lost Boys never grow up. It's because they're already dead. The author of Peter Pan actually admitted that he created Neverland as a place for his brother that passed away when he was 13. So the theory about Neverland being for dead kids might be true. Like and follow for more parts. Also, check us out on YouTube, link in bio.
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? As you might be able to tell, this man was impersonating a cop, but that's not why he was arrested. Before this photo was taken, he killed 77 people. He set up bombs which killed 8 people and injured 250. He then went to a camp that was on an island and opened fire. He shot anything that moved. Since he was dressed as a police officer, all the kids would run to him for help, only to be shot.
Let's talk about the Clown Motel in Tonopah, Nevada. The Clown Motel was named America's Scariest Motel. What makes it extra creepy? It's right next door to a cemetery. It opened in 1985 when a brother and sister opened the motel in honor of their late father, Clarence David. To remember their father, they brought his clown collection with them. He's buried in a cemetery next to the motel. Rumor has it room 108 is the most haunted room. There are over 2,000 clowns. Should I go and visit?
Welcome to the creepy side of TikTok. Today we're going to be talking about some of the creepiest things kids have said. A woman's husband was deployed and her 2-year-old slept in her bed. One night he pointed next to her and whispered that there was a monster there. She said, "It's okay, whenever you feel scared, just say a little prayer." So she started to say one, and the kid put his hand on her mouth and said, "Shh, he doesn't like that." A 2-year-old girl was playing with her toy in the kitchen. Her mother saw that she'd put a plastic baby figure in one of the pans and was sauteing it. When the mom told her, "We don't cook babies," her daughter responded, "It's just to take the skin off." One day while babysitting a girl, the babysitter noticed that the girl was taking toy heads and putting it in a box. When asked why she was putting toy heads in a box, she said, "Practicing." One day, a boy asked his mom why a man was watching them and why his head was like this. He then yanked his head to a sharp angle similar to how a hanging victim would look.
A 35-year-old school teacher was arrested after luring her students into a demonic ritual. This woman is known as Danielle Harkins. She was a school teacher in St. Petersburg, Florida, and she was supposedly acting strange in 2012. And apparently she developed a huge interest in demonic rituals. Danielle told the kids that they needed to go to this fire at the pier on Saturday. Once the kids arrived to this little hangout at the pier, she then grabbed a knife. She then told these children that they had to cut themselves in order to release this demonic spirit. And if that's not bad enough, she then told the children that they had to burn their wounds so the spirit would not return. Just to show you how bad this really was, a student gave their testimony report, and I'm just going to read it to you. Apparently, the school teacher held a lighter at this child's hand, and when the lighter went out because of the wind, she then doused his hand in perfume and set it on fire that gave him second-degree burns. And the craziest part about it is, none of the students snitched. None of them. There's a lot more to this story. Click the link in my bio to join my Discord service. You guys can read the news article. I just can't say it on TikTok.
Disappearances that can't be explained. First, we have Felix Moncla. In 1953, a military radar picked up an unknown blip that was just hovering over Lake Superior. They sent Felix out in his fighter jet to check it out. They watched as Felix got closer and closer to the blip until the two blips were right over top of each other and then just disappeared. They thought maybe they crashed, but there was no debris or wreckage at all. Maybe he went into some kind of wormhole, or maybe it was aliens. Next, we have Brandon Swanson. Brandon was driving home one night when he found himself in a ditch. He called his parents and told them his location, but he was not where he said he was. They stayed on the phone while they tried to find him, but then they heard Brandon yell. They finally found his car 25 miles from where he said it was, and a search party was sent out, but Brandon was never found. Like and subscribe for more content.
April 28th of 1995, 17 students on a guided tour visiting New Zealand's Cape Creek had no idea that the majority of them would meet their death. Once all 17 students had made it out on the platform that overlooks the entire chasm, they would notice how precariously it was built, and that it was wobbly, and even seemed unstable. In fact, some of the students even noticed this right away, and began making jokes of it, jumping up and down on the platform, making comments about how unstable it seemed, and that it shouldn't be this loose and wobbly. Just then, the entire platform, because of its poor engineering and construction, collapses, with all 17 students nearly falling to their death in the chasm below. Out of all 17 students that fell off that platform, only 4 survived of the 17.